it was President Trump himself who said, number one, I didn't collude with Russia, but if anyone connected with my campaign did, I want the FBI to find that out. It looks to me like the FBI was doing what President Trump said, I want you to do, find it out. I am even more convinced that the FBI did exactly what my fellow citizens would want them to do when they got the information they got, and that it has nothing to do with Donald Trump.
Trey Gowdy, very interesting reaction. The House Oversight Committee chair last night, very interesting readout with Martha. Meanwhile, President Trump continues to go after the Department of Justice and the Bureau for the move. Alan Dershowitz, author of Trumped Up, How Criminalization of Political Differences Endangers Democracy. How you doing, sir? And good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, Gowdy is one of the few people who has now talked about a classified briefing from last Thursday. What do you make of the comments he has given now?
I think they're fairly persuasive. As a civil libertarian who doesn't believe this is a partisan activity, I think this is a wrong attempt to have a special counsel, but not partisan. I'm relatively satisfied with Gowdy's assurances. I would rather see the Inspector General look into this. Ultimately, the American people. Whenever you get any kind of an informer anywhere near a campaign, there has to be an assurance that it was not political or partisan in nature. I'm about halfway persuaded now by Congressman Gowdy's statement, and I suspect
so you use that word, persuasive, persuaded that the FBI acted properly. Is that what you're saying?
Right. I'm halfway persuaded. I want to hear the Inspector General, and I'd like to see the facts for myself. But I'm on the way to being persuaded.
Okay. Should the FBI have informed the Trump campaign what it was doing? If they were suspicious of somebody on the team, should they have known about that?
Well, it's interesting. They probably should have informed the candidate. They probably should have said to him, look, we're going to be checking out the way you said we should to see if there's anybody in your campaign. We'd like you to sign off on that. Now, there may be concern that he would then tell them. So judgment call. And I'm not going to criticize the FBI for not telling President-elect Trump or candidate Trump. But I think when you get involved in a presidential campaign, you have to be Caesar's wife. You have to lean over backwards to make sure no one can ever charge you with trying to influence the outcome of an election. Elections are just too important to American democracy.
Is it possible the FBI did not find what it was looking for? In other words, if they had something that was super urgent, then, you know, maybe they throw the red flag up. But maybe the initial investigation really was not taking them to a place that they had suspected, and therefore they kept their mouth shut.
That's very likely, and that also may explain why Comey publicly announced the status of his investigation of Hillary Clinton, which may have cost her the election, and didn't say anything about the Trump campaign, which might have leveled the playing field because they didn't have anything on Trump. If they had something on Trump, I think they were obliged by equality to say something about that in much the way they said something about Hillary Clinton.
Okay, so he also said, okay, so Trump wasn't the target, right? That's what Gowdy said. He said, if you haven't done anything wrong, go ahead and sit down with Bob Mueller and get the matter over with. You don't like that?
He's not a good lawyer if he says that. In 53 years of practice, I've had clients who've had nothing to hide. I've never had any of them sit down with prosecutors. Prosecutors aren't trying to help you. They're trying to set a perjury trap for you. Even Comey in his book said the reason they didn't question Hillary Clinton is they already knew all the facts. And the only reason for questioning the subject is to see if they'll lie about it. And I don't see the answer being, if you've done nothing wrong, sit down with the prosecutor. That's not good advice to the client.
45 minutes ago, the president slammed Jeff Sessions yet again. He quoted Trey Gowdy. I'll just show you one of 3 tweets. This is the last one, the third one. Quoting Gowdy, he said, there are lots of really good lawyers in the country. He could have picked somebody else, end quote, and I wish I did. Does that put the focus back on Jeff Sessions? Do you think he is on thin water yet again, or is that a status quo relationship?
Well, first of all, I think the president was entirely correct. I think that Sessions should have advised him that if the investigation moves toward Russia, he would have to recuse. The president would then have said, thank you, Mr. Sessions. You're a great man, but I want somebody in the Office of Attorney General who can do a full-time job and be in charge of any investigation. Also, the minute he recused himself, he should have offered his resignation. And I don't know whether the president would have accepted it or not, but I think that the idea that the president was stuck with an attorney general who was recused from the most important investigation being conducted is an untenable situation for the president. The president is entitled to loyalty from his attorney general, the way Robert Kennedy gave loyalty to John Kennedy. the way William French Smith, the personal lawyer to Reagan, gave loyalty to his president, and the way Obama's attorney general gave loyalty to his president.
Well, I'm out of time, but thank you for yours. Come on back. Alan Dershowitz, thank you, sir, with us today.